I never thought that I'd be living in a country where the president himself is actually ignoring court orders so he can engage in what is tantamount to human trafficking. Donald Trump recently invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, and he is now using these wartime powers to round up Venezuelans. He's accusing them of being in a gang, and now he is using that as a pretext to send these people off to an El Salvadorian prison that is known for their human rights abuses. But the only problem with all of this is that the Trump administration never had to prove that any of these people were actually members of the Tren de Aragua gang. And we are now learning that many of these people don't have any gang affiliations at all. They don't have criminal records. Many of them were even in the country legally and were fighting their asylum cases in the American court system. But now we have a rogue president who is sending innocent people down to a torture chamber in El Salvador. And to just get a sneak peek into the types of conditions we're talking about here, let's go ahead and take a look. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
The prison has been internationally known for its horrendous conditions, with overcrowded quarters where groups of inmates are crammed into group cells with up to 70 prisoners for nearly 24 hours a day, and where inmates are lucky if they get a metal bunk to sleep on.
It's tense and uncomfortable. But here, officials say comfort isn't meant to exist.
There's no mattresses, there's no sheets. You've got a toilet over here for them to go to the bathroom. You've got this basin here that they use to bathe themselves. And then you can see there's a barrel of water that they can drink from.
The food provided is minimal, only beans and pasta, and rival gang members routinely fight to the death over food and water, while lights remain on 24 hours per day. Life in the prison means never seeing sunlight or members of the outside world. Prisoners have no access to books or letters from family. There are gyms, break rooms, and board games at CECOT, but those are for guards only.
So just think about how insane this is. A president of the United States is defying court orders so he can send innocent people into a facility like this. If this isn't human trafficking, then what is? You're sending innocent people into harm's way. People are likely going to be subjected to forced labor, going to be subjected to torture, could be subjected to fighting somebody to the death with some of the worst people in the world. How is something like this even possible in the United States, the supposed land of the free? Since when did it become okay to strip due process rights away, to send people to some sort of concentration camp into another country? Now, you might not have sympathy for those who have committed crimes, violent offenders, but like I said, we're learning that some of these people were in the country legally with no criminal histories. Take this makeup artist, for instance. He had an asylum claim who had a court hearing scheduled, but didn't make it to that court hearing because the Trump administration snatched him up and shipped him off to El Salvador.
He is a young professional from Venezuela. He's a makeup artist. He is a gay man. He is someone who came to the United States seeking protection. He came seeking asylum. Upon entry into the United States, he was detained because of his tattoos, some of which you can see in those photos, but these are not the tattoos of somebody who is involved with gangs. These are normal tattoos that you would see on anybody at a coffee shop anywhere in the United States or Venezuela. And today, we have confirmation from the government, one of the few groups or attorneys that have confirmation that our client is indeed in El Salvador. Our client last week was supposed to appear in court where we would have started the process of refuting the baseless allegations against him, but we never got to have that chance. Our client has been forcibly removed and disappeared, and we don't know what his legal case, where it goes from here.
So this is a guy who's fleeing persecution in his own country. He comes to the United States seeking protection, and because he has a tattoo, he is flagged by this Trump administration. He schedules a hearing so he can try to refute those claims, just like due process would allow. And instead of being able to meet that hearing, go to that hearing, the Trump administration ships him to another country. This is not what America is supposed to be about, folks. This is criminal behavior. This is a blatant violation of human rights. You are sending people into harm's way, all because Donald Trump wants to put on some show with this mass deportation routine. Every single American should be standing up and speaking out against this. We should not be sending innocent people into a concentration camp-like scenario where they are going to be subjected to violence, all because the Trump administration didn't go through the process to actually provide the evidence that these people were actually part of a game. This is careless. This is incompetence. That's all we have been seeing coming out of this Trump administration. If you're going to send somebody to another country to conditions like we saw at CECOT, then you best be damn sure that you got it right. This makeup artist was supposed to be going to his hearing on Thursday, and just a few days before, he was shipped off to El Salvador.
So the only reason we know that our client is in El Salvador is because he was supposed to be in court last Thursday. ICE never presented him. Over the ensuing days, we realized that he was likely part of this, group of planes that went to El Salvador. When we went to court on Monday, we were finally told by ICE that it was confirmed he was in El Salvador. And that moment, they said that he was removed to El Salvador. The immigration judge said, how's it possible that he's been removed if there's no removal order? And the ICE attorney that was in the courtroom said, I don't know. The case has been set over, so we do have a hearing coming up in a couple weeks, but ICE has now told us that they will not facilitate communication with our client because he has, in their words, been removed, and that they will not make him available for that hearing in 2 weeks. So at this point, we are, of course, watching the case closely that is ongoing related to the Alien Enemies Act, and we're pursuing all avenues because, our client's life is at risk. We're concerned for his safety, and the fact that he was forcibly taken from the United States with no due process, it's something that really shocks the conscience in a way that we haven't seen since family separation happened in 2018.
I would say this is far worse than family separation, and that was absolutely terrible. Because now we've got somebody who came to America seeking asylum, seeking protection, somebody who has a lawyer, and he has now been sent to an El Salvadorian prison. And El Salvador is saying that, no, we're not going to facilitate any communication between you and your lawyer. I mean, how is any of this supposed to work? That's why it was so important that Trump abided by the court order when they said, hey, this doesn't look right. You need to turn those planes around and get those people back onto American soil. That is why this mattered. Because who can assert jurisdiction now? Can a judge here in the United States order the release of somebody in an El Salvadorian prison? And who's to say that El Salvador would even comply with such an order? And to think all of this was based on a simple tattoo because the Trump administration didn't want to go through the proper procedure to actually truly identify gang members. And now we've got shit like this happening. And he's not the only one. We've got Barber, who, without any criminal record, was also removed to El Salvador.
Franco Caraballo is a 26-year-old barber who was living with his wife in Dallas. He turned himself in at the southern border more than a year ago and requested asylum, and was detained last month during a routine check-in with ICE. His attorney, Martin Rosenow, showed us DHS documents confirming Caraballo has no criminal history.
So now they're saying on paper, he's believed to be a gang member.
With no known criminal history.
No criminal history and no explanation.
No explanation whatsoever.
Venezuelan authorities provided information that says there's no evidence Caraballo was in a gang or had any criminal record there. Rosenow says Caraballo was deported to El Salvador and has not been able to communicate with him.
He had no suspicion, no clue that he could end up in a place like CECOT.
We had no idea. Not him, not his wife, not anyone.
Is his family concerned that CECOT is worse than Venezuela?
They are concerned that it's worse. I'm concerned that we have no access. Who has custody over our client? Who has jurisdiction? El Salvador? ICE? The U.S. government? We have no idea.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, This is being done to somebody who came to the United States. He turned himself into the proper authorities. He claimed asylum in the legal way. And then the Trump administration couldn't provide a single reason as to why he was being deported. They didn't say he had any sort of gang tattoos. They didn't say he's been committing crimes. This is a person who had no criminal history. Even Venezuela said that he has no history of gang affiliation. This is why due process is so damn important. What if the Trump administration could accuse you of being a domestic terrorist because you were out on a sidewalk in front of a Tesla dealership protesting Elon Musk? Does that give Trump the authority to just throw you in prison because he was able to accuse you of being a domestic terrorist? Everybody knows that that would be absurd. Whether you're a citizen or not, we afford people due process rights. And I'll just show you this one last clip here, because a professional soccer player has also been disappeared by the United States government.
Attorneys for Jersey Reyes Barrios, a professional soccer player from Venezuela with no criminal record, say he was apparently one of the men sent to El Salvador. His attorney says Barrios came to the United States border legally seeking asylum in September 2024, but he was accused of being a gang member by law enforcement because of his tattoos that were similar to ones affiliated with the gang Tren de Aragua. Speaking to ABC News, Barrios' aunt says his tattoos are inspired by soccer. It's not just the president who gets the last word, she said.
I mean, what are we doing here, folks? We've got a professional soccer player who's got a fairly common Real Madrid tattoo, but because this Trump administration is so damn incompetent, they just get to go ahead and accuse him of being gang affiliated without providing any other evidence that that is actually the case. This is somebody who claims to have been tortured by the country that he was fleeing. He came to the United States legally to seek protection against that persecution. But now the United States government itself is turning around and shipping him off to El Salvador, where he will likely be subject to more torture and more violence. I mean, this is absolutely insane. We cannot just start treating people like animals and shipping them out of the country, all because they have a tattoo that might look similar to a gang tattoo. That would not be acceptable in any other scenario. But because Donald Trump has invoked a 1798 wartime power law, people have got their due process rights stripped away, and now innocent people are being swept up into what is tantamount to a human trafficking scheme. The American people should be absolutely outraged by this. We are supposed to be better than this. We are supposed to be the land of the free. We are supposed to respect due process rights. And just because these people aren't full-fledged citizens doesn't mean that we don't have to treat them in the same way that we might treat a citizen. These people are supposed to be protected by our Constitution. But if this Trump administration has shown us anything, it's that they just do not care. And when they're asked about it in court, they're just playing a game with the judge. They're not providing any evidence at all to prove any of their claims. And instead, they're trying to force everybody to live in this reality that all of these people are gang members just because they said so. So we need to stand up and push back against this. We should call our senators, our congresspeople, make sure that they know that this human trafficking scheme that the Trump administration is currently engaged in, it is not okay. We are America, and this is supposed to be the land of the free, and we are supposed to treat people with dignity. So I will leave it there for now. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels shit for Trump every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to subscribe. If you want to see how the Trump administration is stripping away these due process rights and get a little bit more information about this Alien Enemies Act, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.